Good morning, everyone. Today is August 11th, and we are going to get started. It is 10:17. We have all of our commissioners present, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay. Okay, first off, Gary is going to introduce new directors. So I can't think of a better way to start this meeting than with Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could ask John and Ryan and Robert and Tony to come forward, please, and take a seat. Commissioners, with the recent and upcoming retirements of some of our senior management team, I advised you recently by email of some changes to our organization at the senior management level. And this morning, I would like to formally introduce those individuals involved in these changes to the commission and to the general public. John Graham. John, wave at us there. John has taken over as the acting director of enforcement. John has been with the agency for 17 years, having most recently served in one of the two manager positions in the enforcement division and previously reporting to the division director. Tony Erickson, on our far right. Tony will be taking over as the director of the administration division on September 1st with the retirement of Mike Fernandez at the end of this month. Tony has been with the agency for 20 years, most recently serving as the manager in the support services section within the administration division. She's previously been a direct report to Mike. Among a number of important duties, Tony has most recently been responsible for all aspects of our move into the new Bush building, and she's done an outstanding job in that regard. Robert Terrell, who you know well from commission meetings, Robert will be moving into the position of lottery operations director, replacing Ryan Mendel on September 1st. Robert has been with the agency for 25 years. He has served in a number of responsible positions within the lottery operations division over that time, including the last several years as our products manager. And he is widely recognized as one of, if not the best, product experts in the country. And finally, Ryan Mendel. Ryan will be moving into the newly created position of Deputy Executive Director on September 1st. In all divisions, with the exception of Governmental Affairs, Legal, and of course, Bingo, will be reporting to Ryan. Ryan's been with the agency for 6 years, initially serving in the capacity of Assistant General Counsel. And for the last 4 years, Ryan has done an outstanding job in the demanding position of Lottery Operations Director. Ryan and I are going to be working closely together, and I'm very excited about what Ryan is going to bring to the executive team. Commissioners, changes like these are inevitable, and in the majority of situations, such changes can also be very difficult and hard on the employees that are involved. But that said, I would like to think that these changes are going to be the exception to that rule. In the cases of John, Robert, and Tony, they each have many years of experience managing important aspects of their division. Each of them is extremely capable, and they have the confidence of their colleagues. I anticipate that those are going to be very smooth transitions. With the promotion of Ryan into the new position of Deputy Executive Director, I'm attempting to position the agency to be in a good place when I ultimately retire, which hopefully isn't going to occur anytime soon, but will, of course, occur at some point in the future. The deputy position is one that I served in for a number of years, and I know firsthand that this promotion is going to allow Ryan to become widely exposed to all of the responsibilities required to run this agency. Commissioners, we're extremely fortunate to have such experienced and capable staff who can step up and keep our agency running at a high level. And we are just as fortunate to have such a talented team throughout the agency that can support these individuals in their new roles. Mr. Chairman, would you like to make any comments?
I'm going to open it up to fellow commissioners.
Congratulations. Yes, congratulations to you all. Ryan, are you sure you're ready for that type of exposure?
As ready as I'm gonna be.
Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your service.
On behalf of all of the commissioners, we are incredibly just proud of you individually. We know that collectively that you have close to 70 years of combined Texas lottery experience that you bring to the table to your new roles and responsibilities. But, you know, today is, you know, it shows all of your years of dedication, not only to the lottery, but to your career, your education, your family, every decision you've ever made has brought you to this moment. And just, we are incredibly grateful for your, you know, stewardship of the lottery. And what's also, I think, significant is that we're making the transition into the new building. We just had a tremendous milestone in terms of years behind us, but we have even greater future ahead, and you're going to be on the front line of that future. So congratulations on the responsibility. We are excited for you and know that y'all are going to do a tremendous job. All of the commissioners support you, and if there's anything that any of us can do to advance your mission, please let us know, and we're excited about working with you, alongside of you, and are definitely cheering for you. So thank you very much for your commitment to the state of Texas and to the Texas Lottery.
Okay. Gary. Commissioners, one other item at this point in the meeting. While we're talking about talented people, I wanted to share some news that is a really great source of pride for our agency. Every year, lottery CEOs from around North America are allowed to nominate members of their team for special national recognition called the Powers Award. That's all under the umbrella of the North American State and Provincial Lottery Organization, NASPL, as we call it. These awards are presented in recognition of the significant contributions that lottery or vendor employees have made through exceptional job performance. And the awards are named in honor of the late Edward J. Powers, who was known as the father of U.S. lotteries. Mr. Powers spent more than 25 years in the lottery industry. He helped to define many of the organizational structures that are in use today, some of which have become blueprint for new lotteries. But the Powers name and these awards are synonymous with success, drive, commitment, and integrity. In my many years of being involved with the Powers Awards, I'm not aware ever of two employees from the same lottery ever having received a Powers Award in the same year. But that glass ceiling has now been shattered, and I'm delighted to announce this year that the Texas Lottery had two individual Powers Award winners. And it's really no surprise, given our lottery's performance, that both of these individuals work in our products area. Julie Terrell, who's pictured up on the screen on the left, is our draw games coordinator. That's a role she's held since 2005. Julie manages a draw game portfolio that consistently achieves annual sales of over $1 billion. And that consists of 8 different draw games, including 2 in-state games, Lotto Texas, Texas Two-Step, our 2 multi-state jackpot games, Mega Millions and Powerball, and 4 daily draw games. In fiscal year 21, last year, the draw game portfolio in Texas realized almost $1.5 billion in sales. That was a $340 million increase over fiscal year 2020, and the largest ever year-over-year increase since the lottery began. Dale Bowersock, pictured on the right. Dale is our scratch ticket strategy coordinator. Dale's been coordinating our scratch ticket portfolio for almost 18 years. When Dale first started working on our portfolio, scratch ticket sales were $2.4 billion annually. Compare that to last year when they were a record $6.1 billion. Obviously a new record. Dale's hard work and his creative eye for ticket design has led to numerous extremely successful scratch ticket launches over the years. Unfortunately, both Julie and Dale are out with COVID this week, and we wish them a very speedy recovery. But I'm sure they are watching via live stream today. We have their pictures up on the screen, so commissioners, please join me in congratulating Julie and Dale on being nationally recognized for their efforts at the Texas Lottery. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll have a subsequent report at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Okay. We are now on to item number 2, which comes after 1. So, Ray Smith, you are coming up.
Morning, Commissioners. BAC had our meeting yesterday, and I'd like to extend our thanks to Commissioner Fields and LaDonna and her staff for being present. It's always a pleasure to have them there as a resource. We had several noteworthy items on the agenda yesterday. The first item is our end-of-year report that we were required to give to the Commission. And it's the BAC's perspective on the state of the charitable bingo industry in Texas, with specific comments on the following: gross receipts, net receipts, charitable distributions, expenses, attendance, and any other matter requested by the Commission. This report uses data provided by the Charitable Bingo Operations Division, but we will caveat that this data may not have been audited yet because of the way the fiscal year falls. Gross receipts bounced back significantly in 2021 from the 2020 pandemic lows. Calendar year 2021 saw $938.4 million in gross receipts versus $693.8 million in 2020. This is a 35% uptick year over year and a 10% increase versus 2019. Despite some supply chain issues, pull tab sales continue to drive the sales. Like lottery sales, we also believe that federal stimulus dollars and a consumer interest in safe entertainment and social interaction contributed significantly to the rebound. Net receipts, or adjusted gross receipts. This report speaks to AGR with the understanding that it is the same as net receipts as referred to in the rule. At $214.2 million, AGR rebounded significantly in the 2021 calendar year. That's 41% more than the $152.5 million in 2020 and 11% increase over the $192.8 million in 2019. Charitable distribution, or net proceeds. In the aggregate, required distributions remain consistently at or above requirements. More importantly, overall net proceeds to charities, the total amount of money retained by our charity conductors of bingo, saw a dramatic increase in 2021. At $45.4 million, that's a 207% year over year increase from 2020, when net proceeds fell to $21.9 million annually. Interestingly, the 2-year average is $33.85 million, which is slightly above the $32.3 million average in the 5-year period from 2015 to 2019. We are eager to see what happens in 2022 to determine if broader economic factors suppress net proceeds, making the 2021 results an anomaly. Expenses. Aggregate expenses increased in 2021 to roughly $169 million compared to $152 million in 2020. The pandemic year was like 2017 when expenses were $152 million. Last calendar year's uptick continues a trend of higher costs influenced by higher employee costs, higher costs associated with our products, and general inflationary pressures. Attendance. Between calendar years 2007 at $117.9 million and 2021 which is 11 million, attendance has declined almost 40%. The steady decline continues to be the biggest threat to charitable bingo. More recently, attendance in 2019 was 13.8 million versus 8.4 million in 2020. In a calendar year 2021, attendance bounced back to 11 million, but it was still down 20% versus the pre-pandemic 2019 calendar year. More significantly, research indicates a general lack of awareness is a key driver versus other entertainment options as a primary driver of declining attendance. We are encouraged by private initiatives by some charitable bingo groups to address this critical issue. Providing feedback. Bingo Advisory Committee has successfully provided feedback and comments to the Charitable Bingo Operations Division staff and commissioners on all administrative rules and amendments. Website review. The BAC is still currently reviewing and collecting data to report its recommendations to the staff and to the commissioners. Reporting. The Bingo Advisory Committee successfully reported to the Commission updates on the BAC's activities, industry accomplishments, challenges, and concerns. Annual report. The BAC had submitted the required annual report to the Commission and to the Charitable Bingo Operations Division. In our concluding statement, it is clear that by virtually all key metrics, charitable bingo experienced a healthy recovery in 2021. What is also clear is that while the aggregate numbers are good, not attendance, the recovery was not broadly based. Some halls closed, others continue to struggle in recovery, and some halls are doing very well. The Bingo Advisory Committee remains committed to working with the commissioners and the Charitable Bingo Division staff to advise and respond to the issues that arise this year and those to come. We appreciate the Commission providing this important forum, and we are prepared to respond to any request you have of us. We also ask that the commissioners vote to reinstate the Bingo Advisory Committee for another year. And for your consideration, the current members of the Bingo Advisory Committee and their associated interest groups are as follows. William T. Smith III, conductor. Will Martin, conductor. Melody Green, commercial lessor. Emil Burgoyne, manufacturer. Tommy Duncan Jr., distributor. Jason Pohl, conductor. Veronica Uriegas, charity lessor. Corey Harris, conductor, and Michael Anastasio, charity lessor. That concludes my end of year report.
Okay. Well, before I make any comments, I'm going to hand it over to Cindy to begin, as she is our designated bingo expert liaison and just knows everything about bingo in the state. So you go ahead.
Thanks, and thanks, Trace, for your leadership of the BAC, for your report here, and for everything that you guys did for charitable bingo. I would like to ask LaDonna if she would quickly read the BAC's work plan, the annual work plan for fiscal year 2023. Won't take but just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, that was next on my list. If you would rather, it's whatever the commissioner would like.
All right.
Do you have the work plan?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. The fiscal year 2023 annual work plan is one, identify the potential rule or procedural changes that may help organizations address challenges related to conducting charitable bingo. Any potential recommendations on changes to how bingo games are played shall be clearly authorized by Texas law and will not include electronic bingo, including electronic pull tabs, or any other activities not already authorized by law or video confirmation of pull tabs. Number 2, monitor legislative activity that may impact charitable bingo. Upon request by agency staff, assist with the implementation aspects of potential charitable bingo related enacted legislation. Number 3, provide feedback and comments to CBOD staff and commissioners on changes to administrative rules in Chapter 402 and any other new amendments. Number 4, work with the CBOD staff to identify ways to increase filing of quarterly reports using the online filing system. Number 5, review components of the agency's Charitable Bingo website, including the listing of the BAC members, and recommend elements and information to be included in future website updates. Number 6, provide reports at each commission meeting that include status updates of the BAC's activities, industry accomplishments, challenges, or concerns. Number 7, develop the required BAC annual report to the commission on the state of the charitable bingo industry and submit to the commission and to the charitable bingo director by July 14th, 2023.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to continue the BAC for another year with the current members as Trace listed, and to approve the BAC's annual work plan for fiscal year 2023.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Trace, again, thank you for your commitment to bingo, and I understand that yesterday was your birthday and that you
Yes.
spent it long into the night working on bingo-related items and forgo whatever birthday celebrations you had to work on bingo items. So great job, and it's you're definitely committed to bingo. So
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Commissioners and Commissioner Fields. The only other thing on my report is that that's noteworthy is that the Bingo Advisory Committee voted in a unanimous vote to endorse the petition for rulemaking in reference to shutter card bingo. That will conclude my report.
okay, thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We are going to skip over items 3 and 4, and we're going to go to number 5. So it's like Mike Fernandez is coming up here.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Mike Fernandez, and I'm currently the Director of Administration. With me this morning, I have Tony Erickson, and I keep telling her this is symbolic. Ms. Erickson's going to lay out the items, the next 2 items, 5 and 6. So I will pass this to Ms. Erickson.
Yeah, Commissioners, before we start the first item on the lottery operator contract, I always like to remind the commission that you have the opportunity to meet in executive session anytime the negotiation of the lottery operator contract is a matter in the meeting. And my understanding is that that Mike and Tony do not recommend an executive session for this item. But I always like to make sure that you're aware that that's a special provision of our governing statute.
Great.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Tony Erickson, Sports Services Manager. Item number 5 in your notebook is briefing item. It is to advise the Commission of Staff's intent to amend our contract for lottery operations services with IGT Global Solutions. The purpose of the amendment is to effectively plan for and fund any new or innovative technology or goods and services that could potentially increase lottery sales or revenue. This is a no-cost amendment to the agency. Commissioners have independently confirmed that they do not have a financial interest in IGT Global Solutions. That is all I have for this item. I would be happy to take it.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? None? Okay.
Again, for the record, Tony Erickson, Sports Services Manager. Item number 6 in your notebooks is an action item. Staff is seeking commission approval to execute contracts with Scientific Games International, Pollard Banknote, and IGT Global Solutions for scratch ticket manufacturing and services. The term of the contract will be for a 12-year period beginning September 1, 2022. I also wanted to bring to your attention and put on the record that the prices for these contracts have gone up significantly, and the agency's ability to produce and sell scratch tickets hinges on the legislature's approval of our legislative appropriations request. Commissioners have independently confirmed that they do not have a financial interest in Scientific Games International, Pollard Banknote, and IGT Global Solutions. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? We will need a motion.
Move that we approve the execution of these contracts.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we will now go to item number 7. Next item is adoption of Powerball rule changes. And this is
Morning, Commissioners. This is Deanne Rinstra's item, and she unfortunately is also out ill today, so I'll pick this up for her. This item is adoption of amendments to the Commission's Powerball rule. At the last Commission meeting, the board voted to publish proposed changes to align the Commission's rule with the recently amended Multi-State Lottery Association Powerball game rules. The muscle rules were amended earlier this year to address changes related to the Powerball guaranteed prize funding. Basically, when a jackpot's hit, if there's not enough money in the prize reserve fund, each member lottery pays a proportionate share of the difference. The Commission received no public comments on this proposal, and we recommend adoption. Happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay. So, like item number 6, we're going to need a motion if somebody wants to move forward with that.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Jamie?
Second.
Second from Eric. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Commissioners.
thank you. Next item is number 8. We have Ryan Mendel. And up.
Morning again, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Ryan Mendel, currently the Lottery Operations Director. Item 8 in your notebook is a copy of the 2021 Annual Report, 22-23 Comprehensive Business Plan. The annual report contains a summary of the agency's sales and revenue results, along with performance highlights from fiscal year 2021. Next, the Comprehensive Business Plan, which conforms to the statutory requirements of the sunset legislation. The Comprehensive Business Plan contains key performance factors, as well as targets or projections for those factors. This combined document continues to be the single best source of information about our lottery activities, both what we've done in the past and what we're planning to do in the future. I'd like to note the significant work by staff across the agency that goes into preparing this document. With that, I'm happy to respond to any questions you may have prior to your consideration of approval today.
Okay, any questions? Okay. You're going to need a motion, aren't you?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All righty, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Ryan, you are now able to leave the chair there, so good job. Okay. All righty, next item, number 9, lottery sales and revenue. We have Kelly and Robert.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Kelly Stuckey, Controller for the agency, and with me this morning is Commission's Products Manager, soon to be Lottery Operator Director, Robert Trelawney, and we'll be presenting sales through the week ending August 6th, 2022. Commissioners, this presentation will begin on slide 2 and looking at comparative total sales presented at the bottom of the slide. So it's here that we'll note that through this 49-week period, total sales for FY22 are $7,770 million. That's a $158.6 million increase, or 2.1% over last year's sales. And looking at scratch, FY22 scratch sales are reflected on that second orange bar and are $6,283 million. And that's a 76.1% increase over FY21 sales of $6,207 million. Our scratch tick sales are currently make up 80.9% of our total sales, compared to 81.6% last fiscal year. Then moving on to draw sales, our current fiscal year 22 draw sales are reflected on the second blue bar and are $1,483 million. I'm happy to report that due to our large Mega Millions jackpot at the end of July, we are now reflecting an $82.6 million increase, or 5.9% over last fiscal year's draw sales of $1,400 million. So now I'll turn it over to Robert to provide an overview by game.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning again, commissioners. Well, a lot has changed since we were all together in June. So Kelly just referenced the Mega Millions jackpot. On Friday, July 29th, the advertised Mega Millions jackpot was $1.28 billion. That had significant impact on the results we're about to talk about. That was the second largest jackpot in Mega Millions history, and it was the third largest jackpot in US lottery history. So it was a significant jackpot. If we look at the bottom of the screen, you can see the total for the total gain that we have for fiscal 22 compared to fiscal 21 is just under $159 million. When we were together in June, we were actually down $1.8 million. Moving up to the jackpot portion of the portfolio, which is in the white font. When we were together in June, the jackpot portion of the portfolio was down almost $82 million. So we swung from an $82 million deficit to a $91 million gain. Again, thanks to that Mega Millions jackpot. So everything in the jackpot portion of the portfolio is up, except our two in-state games. Lotto Texas is down $6 million. Texas Two-Step is down $2.7 million. But obviously, the big multi-state jackpot games are all experiencing healthy gains. So great news there. The daily games in the middle of the slide in blue, we're struggling a little bit with pick 3. We're down almost 12 million. That doesn't sound great, but when you look at the draw game portfolio, pick 3 is a very solid performing game. If you take the jackpot games out of the mix, it's the next best seller. And in some years, if we don't get very strong jackpots from the multi-state games, pick 3 ends up being the best seller out of the portfolio. So we're continuing to work on that game to try to increase sales. In terms of the other games that are the daily games, we are seeing some good growth from daily 4. Cash 5 or All or Nothing are kind of where they've been hovering. We're down a little bit on Cash 5, up a little bit on All or Nothing. But as we mentioned, the draw games as a whole are up 82.6 million, so really healthy gain there. I do want to comment that the large jackpot from Mega Millions didn't only help us with the draw games, though it also helped us with scratch, actually. I believe it really brought people into the stores. We've not really had a large jackpot like this since January of 2021, when Mega Millions was slightly over $1 billion. And as you'll recall, this past year, we've been talking about how we've had really tough comparison weeks in fiscal 21 for scratch ticket sales. So we went through a period of being down for about 16 to 17 weeks comparing year over year. And with that Mega Millions jackpot soaring, that kind of helped us turn the corner. We've been up for the past 3 weeks and we're realizing some healthy gains this week. So I think that was motivation for people to get back into retail and be exposed to our scratch tickets. And as you can see, our scratch tickets are up $76 million. So great news since we were last together. When we are back in October, I'll share with you some of our newest scratch ticket games. We do have a brand new family of scratch tickets that starts in early September. It's our cash blowout family. We hope that will get our new fiscal year kicked off and off to a strong start. And then in October, Kelly and I will also be presenting our fiscal year 22 kind of recap, where we go into some more detail and provide you with some more information like we usually do during that meeting. That is our good news sales presentation for this month. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments, questions?
Didn't the IRS also win that lottery? Because they took like, what, 700 million?
Yes, sir. I think they're happy as well.
Robert, how's the $100 scratch ticket format?
Thank you for asking about that, Commissioner. The $100 scratch ticket is doing extremely well. Since it launched, it has been the #1 selling ticket every week. So I think we're about 12 or 13 weeks in roughly, and it has been the #1 bestseller. We've heard very positive feedback from our sales team who's out, interacting with retailers daily. And we've heard positive news from retailers too. So it's doing very, very well.
That's good to hear that there's not a lot of chaos or any confusion from the lottery players on that. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. We are now moving on. So thank you both. Now we're going to go to item number 10, which is individually Kelly. So Robert, thank you. And Kelly, you have the ball.
Commissioners, for this item, I've included in your notebook the agency's transfer to the state through June 30th. This report reflects accrued revenue transfers and allocations to the Foundation School Fund and the Texas Veterans Commission, as well as the allocation of unclaimed prizes for this past 10 months of fiscal year 22. Total accrued revenue to the state amounted to $1.56 billion through the end of June. And of that transfer to the state, $1.51 billion was the amount transferred to the Foundation School Fund. $18.6 million was transferred to the Texas Veterans Commission, and the remaining $36.5 million was transferred for unclaimed prizes. So of this, these amounts amount to a decrease in the revenue to the Foundation School Fund of $46.5 million, or 3% when we're comparing it to the same time period last fiscal year. Our total cumulative transfers to the Foundation School Fund through June are $29.2 billion. And then moving on to the second part of this item is the fiscal year 22 method of financing budget summary through the third quarter ending May 31st, 2022. So the commission's lottery account budget is at $263 million, and of that amount, 93.3% has been expended or encumbered through the third quarter. And the bingo's operation budget funded by general revenue is $2.07 million, with 85.4% either expended or encumbered. This concludes this item.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? Okay. Next item.
So Commissioners, this morning I'll be seeking your approval of the Commission's legislative appropriation request, or LAR, for fiscal years 24 and 25. This LAR includes a baseline request of $565,211,351 with 321.5 full-time employees. It includes one exceptional item totaling $17,410,868, bringing the Commission's total LAR request to $582,622,219. So I do want to note that there is a 8.1% decrease from the 22-23 baseline appropriation levels. And this decrease is solely in two of our strategies, the lottery operator strategy and the retailer incentive strategy. And that's because these two strategies are based on sales projections, and we've kind of done a reset on sales projections 24-25. The Commission's 24-25 LAR was developed in accordance with the guidelines from leadership offices, which stated that at a budget deliberations, each agency's baseline request cannot exceed the sum of the amounts expended in 22 and budgeted in fiscal year 23. So any funding that exceeds that base level should be submitted as an exceptional item. And so to that point, we have one exceptional item in the document for $17.4 million, and that's in fiscal year 25. And that's to allow us to increase our authority in the scratch ticket production and services contract strategy. So currently, our funding structure to produce scratch tickets is a fixed budget that doesn't really provide us a mechanism to support changes in product demand or product cost. Scratch ticket sales, as you know, have realized a year-over-year gain since 2011, and they continue to be a growing product category in Texas. Currently, as we mentioned in the sales presentation, our scratch sales are 80% of our total lottery sales. It's also important to note that there are 3 companies that can print our scratch tickets: Scientific Games, Pollard Banknote, and IGT Printing. And as you heard earlier from Tony, our current contract for these 3 vendors expires August 31st, 2024. And you know, the environment of our scratch ticket production has changed dramatically since these contracts were let back in 2012. And then additionally, the pandemic and economic factors has made a significant impact on labor and material costs as well. So the agency has recently completed the RFP process for these services, and a significant increase of approximately 40% has been realized for these services. An underfunded scratch ticket print budget has a trickle-down effect, so it not only impacts our ability to print tickets, but ultimately it reduces sales. And then finally, it results in a negative impact for our beneficiaries, the Foundation School Fund and Fund for Veterans Assistance. So if funding is granted by the legislature for this exceptional item, there's no cost to the appropriation bill, as our lottery dedicated account fund 5025 is not subject to the comptroller's certification for the General Appropriations Act. Funding of this exceptional item also would still fit within our 7% allowable statutory percentage to administer the lottery under the Government Code, Chapter 466 and Rider 3. So moving on to the rider revisions in the document, we're not requesting any new riders this session, but I did want to highlight we had one technical revision to Rider 9, and that's our lottery operator contract rider. And this just includes a revision to the contract rates, modifying 2024 to 2.0331% of gross sales, and 2025 is revised to 1.9889%. Commissioners, our LAR is due to leadership offices on next Friday, August 19th. And so in addition to filing hard copies of the document, agencies are required to file the document electronically with the LBB through the automated budget evaluation system, as well as submit a searchable PDF version to the governor's office. Upon completion of the budget document, the agency is required to provide the LBB and the governor's office certification of the integrity of dual submissions and assurance that the electronic copy and hard copy are one and the same. This signature certificate is reflected on page 1C of the document. We should also be hearing soon regarding the scheduling of our agency's joint budget hearing with the staff at the governor's office. And finally, before I wrap up, I'd like to acknowledge the support of Gary and our fellow division directors in the preparation of this document. And then special recognition to Annika Guanero. She's in our office of controller. Her and her team did an outstanding job pulling together this document. In closing, I'm seeking your approval on the proposed legislative appropriation request fiscal years 24 and 25. The baseline request is $565,211,351 with 321.5 FTEs. The baseline, along with the one exceptional item totaling $17,410,868, results in a total LAR request of the $582,622,219. This concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Okay, Kelly, good job. Do we have any discussion, comments, thoughts? Okay, would someone like to?
I'll make a motion.
You have a motion?
Second.
I'm gonna, second. So we have a second. We need a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Kelly, good job. We are incredibly grateful for not only your leadership on this, but everybody who participated in, helping, just produce such an awesome piece of work. So we're very grateful. So thank you, and happy that we got this done. So good job. Thank you, Kelly. Okay. Next item is the internal auditor's report. Darlene Brown, this is your item.
Morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Darlene Brown, Internal Auditor for the agency. In your notebooks is my status report. This time, we have been working on the ticketing game management audit, and we are about to, we're in the last phase of that. We have wrapped up the confidential data management audit, and we have begun our annual risk assessment. So I will be reaching out to each one of you individually to get your input on next year's proposed annual audit plan. Next quarter, we will also are finally going to complete these bingo reconciliations. We will have a report for you on the ticket and game management audit. We will have a report for you on the confidential and data management audit. And then we'll have the annual audit plan for you to approve. That wraps up my status report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions?
No, congrats on seeing the light at the end of the tunnel on the bingo reconciliation.
Any other comments? No? Thank you, Darlene. Awesome work as always, auditing. So good job. Okay, thank you. Next item, number 13. And this will be our bingo portion of our agenda. And we have LaDonna here to take us through.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, LaDonna Castanuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations Division. Now that I have been here one full year, I thought it would be helpful for the Commission if I provided some updated financial data from Charitable Bingo. As you know, the Charitable Bingo license holders are required to provide their quarterly report information by calendar year quarter. So the most recent annual data I will provide that we have for you is calendar year 2021. In the future, I plan to provide updated annual data to you in spring after the previous year's reporting is due and we've been able to run the necessary reports. The information on the screen was provided to the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the chairs of the standing committees of the Senate and House of Representatives with primary jurisdiction over Charitable Bingo in accordance with Section 2001.060 of the Bingo Enabling Act. The letter containing this table was included in your June meeting notebook materials. As you can see, calendar year 2021 net proceeds reported by licensed organizations totaled more than $45.3 million, or 21.19% of the adjusted gross receipts of $214.2 million. Of course, calendar year 2020 was a challenging year for the charitable bingo industry when the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in required closure of bingo halls for part of the year. To give you some perspective from the most recent pre-pandemic years, the next slide shows a bar chart with adjusted gross receipts and net proceeds for a 5-year period, calendar years 2017 through 2021. Although net proceeds were up in 2021, like the previous slide and Trace's remarks, and comparable to pre-pandemic years, keep in mind that, as Trace mentioned to you earlier, attendance is not up to pre-pandemic numbers yet. I'm hopeful that Charitable Bingo is recovering from 2020 and will continue to do so in coming years. Again, I plan to bring you an update to this information, including calendar year 2022 in the spring of 2023. That's all I have for item number 13. This is a briefing item only, no action is requested.
Okay,
You want me to go on to 14?
I will defer to Cindy.
Sure.
Good job.
So are you going to go on to 14?
I will. Again, for the record, LaDonna Castanuela, Director, Charitable Bingo Operations Division. Information regarding output metrics for CBOD for June and July can be found in your notebook materials. In addition to the work detailed in your notebooks, we are in the process of hiring a number of new employees, including a new accounting section coordinator who will start next week, a new licensing section coordinator, and a new executive assistant. We've been quite shorthanded lately, but current staff includes several experienced and dedicated folks who have managed to keep the work moving. We all look forward to having a more fully staffed division soon. Also, literally, as we speak, CBOD staff is completing preparations for the final part of our move tomorrow, when agency mailroom functions move to the new building. I know we all look forward to having all of the Charitable Bingo Operations Austin headquarters staff in one place again. We continue to fine-tune our procedures and look for ways to make them more efficient, while also maintaining necessary controls. After a year in this role, with the help of the division's deputy director, Vivian Cohn, we've successfully implemented many improvements and confirmed that there is more work to do. I've said it before, and I continue to be grateful for the talented and hardworking staff of the Charitable Bingo Operations Division. That's all I have for you today, and I'm available to answer questions.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks to LaDonna and her team for continuing to improve Charitable Bingo and working on everything.
Okay, good job. All righty. We are on to number 15. And this is the executive director's report. Gary, we are gratefully here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition to what's in your notebooks today, I have several items to report on this morning. First is an update on our agency move to the George H.W. Bush building. We have recently learned that the large meeting room, the new building, which we had initially understood would be available for commission meetings once the construction was complete, will instead not be available for access by the public for the foreseeable future. So we're going to be pursuing a new location, likely in another state office building somewhere in the vicinity, to hold our commission meetings in going forward. And that location may change from time to time, may change from meeting to meeting as well. In other words, our long-term solution may not necessarily be the location that we meet in for the October meeting. We'll work through that situation. We'll keep you apprised. Our draw studio recently moved over to the new building, and we have been conducting our drawings in our brand new studio, and it is something to see. The bingo division, as LaDonna mentioned, along with all of our few remaining setups here in this building, are going to be moving over this weekend. And our Austin Claim Center, which is right across the courtyard, we'll move that facility over to its new location the weekend of August 26th, and that thankfully will end our move to the new building. Also want to go back and touch on lottery sales, commissioners. You saw the outstanding report that Robert and Kelly gave you today. And it's clear now that barring anything unforeseen, we're going to reach yet another new record for lottery sales this year. Not for one moment did I lose my optimism that we were going to reach a new record. The introduction of the lottery industry's first $100 scratch ticket several weeks ago, which has continued, as you heard, to be our best-selling game ever and #1 every week. That gave us a fighting chance. And I knew that all we needed was for one of our multi-jurisdictional jackpot games to go on a run. I was confident we could reach another all-time record. So not only are we going to end up breaking our all-time sales record for the 12th straight year, but it should be by a comfortable margin of about $150 million or so when we end the fiscal year. In addition, we're going to be one of less than a handful of states across the country that's going to see an increase in traditional lottery sales data. That's scratch and draw games. That is a true testament to the talented people that we have in our organization, to our trusted vendor partners, and to those more than 20,000 retailers across the state that sell our products. This year is going to be a great story. But that said, the future of the lottery in Texas is now at a critical juncture. You heard Tony Erickson first mention it this morning about our new scratch ticket contracts. You heard about that increase in the budget that we're going to need. And you heard her mention how important it's going to be to get legislative approval of our budget going into this next session. You also heard Kelly Stuckey lay out our one exceptional item that we're requesting in the session that is focused on the use of these additional funds. You heard about supply chain issues, inflation, the costs going up. Bluntly speaking, our scratch ticket portfolio is the most robust and the most attractive portfolio in the entire lottery industry. And those games now account for more than 80% of our total sales. And they're obviously the primary driver in the Texas lottery, now generating almost $2 billion a year for education and veteran services. We're certainly going to pull out all the stops to explain our situation to the legislature in the upcoming session. But without the necessary appropriation authority, and I use that word authority purposefully, because we have the money from the sale of lottery tickets. We have plenty of money to fund the scratch ticket portfolio. We just mean that the request is not going to impact the appropriations bill in any way. We just need that authority, because without that authority, Texas Lottery is going to cease being a reliable revenue generator for the state of Texas, and it's going to impact our beneficiaries, education, and veterans. So commissioners, we're going to certainly keep each of you apprised as we work that issue through the legislative session. And finally, commissioners, last item on our agenda today, I'd like to call up our administration director, Mr. Mike Fernandez. I know he has been dreading this moment many weeks. So commissioners, today is going to be Mike's final commission meeting. And I hope you all notice that he is going out with a bang, finalizing 3 of our most important contracts with our scratch ticket print vendors and finalizing a very important amendment to our lottery operator contract. I'll be reading a proclamation from Mike in just a few minutes that will give you some details of his long career, including his military service to our country. But I want to spend just a moment focusing on Mike's time working at the Texas Lottery Commission. After a long and distinguished first career in state government, Mike retired from the state of Texas in 2002. However, he wasn't completely ready to quit working, and the Lottery Commission just happened to have a vacancy in what was then the Director of Information Technology. That was a perfect fit, given Mike's background. I was serving as the Lottery Operations Director at that time, and I actually served on the panel that interviewed candidates for the position that Mike had applied for. And Mike was clearly the best candidate, and we quickly offered him the job, and he came on board in July of 2002. Mike and I still talk, and we chuckle about one of our early conversations that we had right after he came on board. And I told him that the Texas Lottery is not like any other state agency, that we are running a for-profit business here, that it was a different animal than he was used to, and that the nature of our business made us a constant target for critics. I'm not sure Mike bought into any of that. He was already a 28-year veteran executive of state government, and he likely thought he had just about seen it all. So I'll let Mike comment on that in a few minutes if he likes. But what I do know is that shortly after Mike came on board, we had a dramatic and abrupt change in leadership at this agency. Our executive director at the time resigned, and I was put into my first stint as acting executive director, with instructions from my board at the time to change the culture at our agency and up the professionalism across the board. Mike quickly became one of my trusted colleagues, and I moved rapidly to increase his level of responsibility. In 2004, I asked Mike to serve on an agency-wide task force that focused on a complete agency reorganization. And it was at that time that our agency contracts, in addition to purchasing, facilities, and information technology, all placed under Mike, and his title was changed to Director of Administration. And he's fulfilled that role with distinction ever since. When Mike originally took the job at the Lottery Commission, I don't believe that he ever envisioned making this an entirely second career, working here for another 20 years. He certainly didn't do that because the job was easy. Helping to change our agency culture and our reputation was not without a good amount of pain and suffering. And I'm sure there were days when Mike thought, what have I done in joining this organization? But the good eventually far outweighed the bad. And I couldn't begin to list the significant challenges that we faced over the years or the many creative solutions that Mike came up with to address those challenges. I think that Mike would say that almost every day that he was here was unique and interesting in its own way. I did a quick back of the envelope calculation this week, and I'm estimating that Mike has negotiated almost $3 billion with a B, $3 billion in contracts for the lottery in his 20 years at the agency. And I'm quite confident that he personally has saved the state of Texas many millions of dollars over that time as a result of his business savvy, his unmatched negotiating skills, and his forward thinking. Already known as a tough negotiator in Texas state government circles before he ever came here, and now known nationwide throughout the lottery industry in the same manner, I want to explain that tough negotiator reputation that Mike has earned in just a little more detail. I've been involved in plenty of contract negotiations over the years. I've seen people who are filled with bluster, that are loud, they make demands, and they try to project an image of being a tough negotiator. That's not Mike. Mike is always extremely well prepared. He has all the details of the contract, along with historical information in hand. And he makes sure he's very well read on the goods and services that we're trying to obtain, even if those may not be in his wheelhouse. And he's incredibly strategic in the way he approaches these negotiations. It's very rare in my experience to see a person with such a strong reputation for being such a tough negotiator at the same time be so universally liked and respected by all the vendors that he has to deal with. At the Texas Lottery, we have never settled for doing things in the normal fashion. Whether it's our unique lottery operator contract with IGT or our one-of-a-kind approach to doing scratch ticket printing business with Pollard Scientific Games and IGT Printing, which you all just approved today, or a litany of other contracts we've been involved in over the years. We've always taken an innovative approach to those contracts, and we've tried to incorporate novel methods to how our needed goods and services can be provided. Mike has been uniquely positioned and skilled at taking that vision that we've had for how these goods and services ought to be provided, and then making that all work under the auspices of state government procurement practices. That is not an easy feat. Now, Mike's a guy for which retirement doesn't come easy, and I know it's been a hard decision for him because he loves the challenge and he enjoys the uniqueness that he now has come to appreciate of our agency, and he really likes and appreciates the people that he works with. Not just his own staff, but all the division directors as well. And we all feel the same way about Mike. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time working with Mike over the last 20 years. I count him as a good friend. I'm very grateful to have learned so much from him over those 20 years. We've shared countless laughs, along with a handful of low times together. And all that's given us a bond that'll last a lifetime. I'm going to really miss Mike. And I know his other friends and colleagues that are with us in the room today all feel the same way. So if you'll allow me, Mr. Chairman, I have a proclamation from Mike that I would like to read into the record. Whereas Mike Fernandez is retiring from the Texas Lottery Commission, and whereas in fulfilling the duties and tasks of the Administration Director for the Texas Lottery Commission, Mike drew from his extensive experience, having served the state of Texas for more than 48 years through his previous employment with the Texas Workforce Commission and he is indeed deserving of special professional and personal recognition. And whereas for 20 of those years, Mike served as the Information Technology Director and the Administration Director for the Texas Lottery Commission, and provided invaluable management expertise to the agency. And whereas during his tenure with the commission, Mike was instrumental in negotiating about $3 billion in complex contracts that brought innovative, state-of-the-art equipment, technology, and service to the Texas Lottery, along with the most competitive, best-in-industry rates. Whereas also during his tenure with the commission, Mike has served as an invaluable friend and colleague to the executive director and the other division directors, and he is regarded by the management team at the commission as the finest technology and administrative support director in state government. And whereas, he's going to love this one, born on August 15th, 1947, Mike was raised on military bases throughout the U.S. until his family returned to Ballinger, Texas, where he completed high school and then met and married his loving wife, Linda. Mike then served in the United States Air Force, which included a tour in Vietnam. And upon returning from military service, Mike and Linda moved to Austin, where he was employed first by Tracor Science System Group, an Austin-based technology company, until he joined the Texas Employment Commission, now known as the Texas Workforce Commission, in 1972. Whereas Mike and Linda are the proud parents of daughter Sarah, who graduated from Baylor University and the South Texas College of Law, and then married Kyle Wolf. Mike and Linda are devoted grandparents to Walker, Emerson, and Price, to whom they provide unconditional love and support, and they spend many weeknights and weekends attending various ball games and recitals. Whereas Mike is also a dedicated cowboy. On the weekends, you'll find him at his property in Thorndale on a tractor, riding his horses, or tending to his cows. Whereas retirement will provide Mike more time to spend with his beloved grandchildren and attending to his property. Whereas the administration team will greatly miss Mike's expertise, his drive, steadfastness, and unwavering support. His leaving leaves a big space to be filled, but they are so incredibly happy for him. Whereas Mike will also be extremely missed by his friends and colleagues at the Texas Lottery Commission, be it resolved that the Texas Lottery Commission and his many friends and loving family members hereby congratulate Mike on his retirement and extend to him sincere best wishes now and during this next chapter in his life. And be it further resolved that an official copy of this proclamation be prepared for Mike as an expression of high regard by the Texas Lottery Commission. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of the Texas Lottery Commission to be affixed here too, signed on this 11th day of August, 2022, Robert G. Rivera, Chairman, Gary Grief, Executive Director. Mr. Chairman.
So literally a lifetime of work that you have so generously not only gave to our country, but our state. And I know that you've been here with the lottery. Our commissioners are well aware of your decades of support to the Texas Lottery, but well before that, your service is just, tremendous. Polished is an amazing word that doesn't quite encapsulate you, but it's close. Polished is what you bring to the table in terms of your dedication, your level of expertise, your level of understanding, your desire to lead by example, to show others that you've worked with over the years how things are done properly and how to focus in on details. Clearly we could be here for a long time going over all of your benefit, not only to the state, but to the lottery, to your fellow co-workers, to all that have ever donned the Texas Lottery badge of employment. Earlier today, we recognized leaders that are going to be moving forward. And although you will no longer be here, part of what the lottery is going to be doing, you can take great assurance to know that your involvement and your previous years of service will remain on indefinitely because of the example that you have set and the high standard that you have shown everyone of how to perform, what it means to be a Texas Lottery employee. And so we are, on behalf of all of our commissioners, incredibly grateful for your years of dedication. Although, you know, here at the lottery, those who on the citizen side, those who participate with the lottery, those who are able to purchase lottery tickets and scratch offs, et cetera, they do it for a variety of reasons, some of which is that they would like to be a winner, right? And so you, though, in your lifetime of work, and you're now on the threshold of true retirement and literally doing whatever it is that you would like, you know, a lot of opportunities to that lay in front of you. You've truly won the jackpot. You have truly won what life is about, which is family, which is service, which is connection to all. And so you're a shining example of a true winner. So we are incredibly grateful for you sharing time with us. And likewise, thank you to your family for allowing them for you to share your talents with the state. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And also I thank you and fellow commissioners for the support and the confidence. So I do appreciate that, and I know all the staff do too. And from my dear friend Gary Grief, what he said is absolutely correct. When I first met him and went down to meet him in his office, he made those comments to me, and my glib retort was, you know, Gary, I've been in government for nearly 30 years, and a state agency is a state agency, and I was completely wrong. So, but that wasn't the first time. But I would say I've enjoyed working with Gary and for Gary. We've had exciting times, interesting times, and I can say with complete confidence, there were never any dull times. So we've had a great time here. I do want to thank 4 people that I've worked with for over 25 years. Tony Erickson, Kathy Pica, Joan Cole, and Jan Thomas, a debt of which I'll never be able to repay. Also, I want to thank our vendors who I've enjoyed great relationships with, and I've got to call out Joe Lipinski for always being willing to listen and to be supportive and helpful. And I don't know if it was because I was such a good negotiator or because we were both from San Antonio, or whatever works. But Mr. Chairman, I want to say to you and to Gary, thanks for the opportunity. Godspeed.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer questions if there are any. And I would also ask that the commissioners spend just a couple of minutes before you leave today taking some photos with mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so commissioners, any comments or questions for Gary?
Gary, I think as long as the next few meetings are not outside, I think we'll be okay.
Noted.
Goes without saying, but I just want on the record, just not outside.
Okay. Righty. Gary, thank you. Next item is Bob Baird is going to go through our enforcement cases.
Yes, Commissioners, thank you. The record, I'm Bob Beard, General Counsel. Item 16 contains 6 lottery cases, tabs A through F. In these cases, Commission staff found a licensee violated a lottery statute or rule, and in many cases, the respondent fails to appear at the hearing and it proceeds by default, or the staff and the respondent reach a settlement in the form of an agreed order. And we have both of those types of cases today. Tabs A and B are the non-sufficient lottery retailer license revocations. This case was presented at the State Office of Administrative Hearings for revocation of the retailer license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in the bank account to cover electronic fund transfers to the Commission's account. In each case, the licensee failed to appear. And the judge remanded the case to the commission to handle as a default matter. Tabs C through F are lottery agreed orders. You have the materials for those items in your notebook. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And if you have no questions, you may take up the enforcement orders in a single vote if you like.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, we are now at the end of our agenda. Commissioners, any other comments? Okay,
I want to add one. Mike, thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you've done for us and wish you all the best in retirement. Thank you very much.
any other comments? Okay, with that, we are adjourned.